Hey, it says we're live here. Today, I am so excited. I did this crazy picture behind me of this sort of magician looking thing, and it was a thing from one of the AI creations, right? And I talked about creation, and some of the pictures that it gave me were of, that looked like some kind of a divine being creating the universe. And they gave me this one, sort of a magician with all this creation. I was sitting in the lab this morning, and the lab was where I had blood drawn. And I had a doctor visit a few weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago, and he told me it was time to get a blood test to check all the normal stuff. And so I went to get that done this morning, and I had to wait about a half an hour, which is fine. And as I sat there waiting, I thought about something. The sun was coming in the window, and it was really cold last night. It was minus 25 Celsius with minus 35 as a wind chill, which is kind of cold, right? Anywhere in Celsius, Fahrenheit, or any height. But it was warm in the lab. And as the sun shone through the window on my face, I closed my eyes and I was just there for several minutes, focusing on that experience of being there, waiting for my turn, waiting in line, just to see, and experiencing that, sitting in a chair with the sun on my face. And it reminded me of a thing I saw on social a little while ago of Byron Katie. And I'm going to quote this wrong, but she said something about the beauty of an uninterpreted moment, a creative power. And I thought about that, and here's what it could mean a lot of things, but here's the thing I thought about. You and I have power to create. In fact, you are creating. You're never not creating. Every moment you breathe, you're creating something. I want you to focus on what you're creating right now. Maybe you're driving and creating a safe ride home. Maybe at the same time you're driving, you're thinking about what's for dinner tonight or lunch, or you're thinking about what you're going to do today, but you're creating that in your mind. You're intentionally creating. That's good when you're focused and intentionally creating. But most of the time, I see with, many people, I would invite you to consider how much of the time you're accidentally creating. I named this little, because it always asks for a name, and I put celebrating you. And here's why. We've all seen superhero stories, origin stories of superheroes, right? And they start from humble beginnings, like the Flash. He's some guy, and then he gets hit by the dark matter or whatever it is, and then he gets this super speed. And I always feel like there's this unveiling, right? You're behind a shroud, and then there's this unveiling of brightness. So one of the things I say in my work is I'm committed to helping 250 million people see who they really are. And that sounds like some mystic mumbo jumbo, but it's not. What if you listening right here, right now, what if you're living behind a mask? Like you're not all that you can be really. And that behind there, who you really are is a vibrant, powerful superhero, or a vibrant, powerful mother or father or employer or employee, a vibrant, powerful creator that has a lot of good to add to the world. I know that you are. I sat on my group coaching call this morning. On Mondays is one of the days I do group coaching, and I had a good sized group this morning, and I was looking at each of their faces and spoke directly to them and thought how much I loved them and how much power and goodness and capability and awesomeness I saw in the faces of those people. And I see it in yours. Every person that I meet. After that class, I had the chance to talk to a woman I'd never talked to before. And where I met her was in a book that I edited. So I have a client whose book I edited here a few weeks ago. And in that book, he introduced the reader, me in this case, as the editor, to several women who were case studies of people that had taken his class and so forth. But in his description of those people, I was so excited. I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'd like an introduction to these people just because I want to get to know them. And so I got to meet one today. And this is the third one of the group that I asked to meet. And this woman I met today was amazing. She told me the story of her own development in life and how she'd gone through different jobs as a mediator and a divorce counselor and just some other things. And today she specializes in helping women who have gone through a divorce to recover and to step into power and to, that's a hackneyed phrase, but step into their own opportunity, because we live behind that mask. We live behind the mask. And I'm asking you, what would it be like to unveil? And so as I sat there in the office this morning, waiting for my turn to get stuck with a needle and blood drawn for my physical, I sat there with the sun on my face and sat there in a beautiful, uninterpreted moment. I created no meaning around it. And the ideas that flooded me of creativity, of possibility. I came home and I drew some pictures about ways to serve. And I'll tell you one of them right now. I'm going to do several podcast episodes on this. Every person that I meet, literally everyone, has a story to tell. A few are living in the victimness of their story. This and this and this bad thing happened to me. Oh dear, poor me, that kind of thing. But most people have a sense that there's something valuable, and they don't develop it or do a lot with it. A few do, but most don't. Most just sit on the idea that there's something powerful and valuable that they could be doing. And if you think that, you're 100% right. And so here's 3 words I want you to remember. 3 words. 1 is to identify, 2 is productize, and 3 is monetize. Identify, productize, monetize. And I'll tell you why. It is work to identify what you might have to offer me as a potential consumer of your experience, your greatness, your life, the things that you've learned. Most people don't go through the trouble of identifying truly what they have in terms of wisdom, learning, advice, capability, skill that you have to offer. I see so many people who say, I'd like to make a living doing something in my own business. I want to create a product, a service, and I don't know how. And they live under this interpretation, which is why I was talking about uninterpreted moments. They live in the interpretation that it's impossible. I can't do it. I don't have time. I don't have skill, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not true. It's getting easier and easier. You and I both see all those courses online that say, let AI write your book and let it write your course and let it write this, that, and the other. And I'm not an advocate of that, but I am an advocate of using all the tools there are, including the genius that is these AI things to create language and pictures like this one behind me that illustrate the beauty of creation. You have this power. What are you doing with it? So many people, I would guess way in the 90s, 90% are living behind a mask of story, a mask of fear, a mask of I can't do this. And so celebrating you today is acknowledging your greatness. I don't say that lightly. I don't say it in a silly way. I don't say it just to hear my head rattle. You're alive and you're breathing. You've been through a powerful set of experiences in your life that has turned you into who you are today. Now, what I notice in my own life is when I have experiences, usually the tough ones, one of 2 things happen. They either ruin me or they refine me. And sometimes they ruin me first because I get angry or frustrated or negative or want revenge or feel beat down or whatever. And then maybe later I allow them to refine me. That refinement is the key to your offering to the world. Now, maybe you don't want to make an offering to the world and you're just happy where you are. I love you for that. Keep being wonderful you. The invitation here is to be the greatest version of yourself. Why would you want to be the half, the second-rate version? Why would you want to be third string? Well, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to be third string. Then what do you need to do? Who do you need to be to take off the mask and show me, everybody, and yourself who you really are. That's the invitation. So my commitment, morning to night, every day, that's all I do is ask myself the question, how can I help one person today, 2, 10, 50, 100, depends on what I have on the calendar, see who you really are. Now, one of the things that I used to do is hate myself. And so I wanted to hide from who I really was because I was struggling with depression and addictions and those things. But the sad part wasn't that that was my life. The sad part was I wasn't doing anything about it. I was allowing that to be the same story day after day, week after week, and month after month. Now, I don't care what the struggles are you're facing right this minute. What I do know is there's a way forward. There's a way to move in a positive and powerful direction. But nothing's going to come do it for you. There's not going to be a cavalry that rides over the hill. So I celebrate the greatness of what is you right now, the greatness of what you can do if you want to. And I invite you to see who you really are. And if you don't like what you see right this minute, that's okay, because today is right now. This afternoon or tomorrow or this evening, you can pivot in a new direction, even a little, and take a step in a new direction. I celebrate your agency, your right to choose, your right of self-determination. The business that I run is helping people see who they really are. That is, get out from behind the stories, get out from under the rocks, get out from under the barriers, identify what their gifts are, their opportunities, their possibilities. And they always come from their life experience. That's where those things always come from. And then, if you want to, productize, turn that into something, a book, a course, a keynote, something that you can offer, because you know that the things you've been through will be of service. You know that. Usually what people do is they get scared by the idea of doing something with it. Nobody will like it. Nobody will want it. I don't know how. I don't have time. Those things are not true. They're just excuses. Now, I live my whole life now, in the last 16 and a half years, is based on the idea of creating the ultimate life. And at the bottom of the page here, you see yourultimatelife.ca. That's a place where you can get some things, some stuff that doesn't cost any money, if that's what you're worried about, but it will cost effort and time, or it won't do anything for you. It'll just be a bunch of words. What's there is something called the 5 master keys to create your ultimate life. That's not hype. It's stuff that I've used and discovered in my 16 and a half years working on this, about how to create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, which is what I enjoy today. But what I know about you that I'm celebrating is your opportunity to create anything you want. You don't have to. Nobody's going to make you, but nobody can stop you either. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need anyone's blessing. Right this minute, you have that opportunity. My invitation to you is to just to chat. I'd love to talk with you about what you're trying to create, who you really are behind the mask. Why? Because that is where your most powerful opportunities lie. When you or I are burdened by shame, guilt, anger, frustration, negativity, victim speak, all that stuff, we can't create from there. So let's delete all those stories, all the baggage, all the nonsense, all the I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. You don't need to live under that rock, not even for one more minute. I celebrate you, your origin as a divine being, your capability right here, right now, no matter what has come before you. You have the opportunity to create an ultimate life. And you might use different words, but I use purpose, prosperity, and joy. What are your words? What are your words that just make you feel good, like you matter, like you're adding good to the world, and like who you are makes a difference? I invite you once again to go to that URL and get those free things to help you. I also invite you to have a chat. I'd love to meet you so that I can see your greatness, and we might be able to see what else you could do, unless you're already living at your ultimate life level, in which case I'd love to talk to you anyway, because I've got podcasts and shows all over the place for those who have a message to share with others. I love being an amplifier, for those that have got a message. Love to you. You are great and you are capable and you can create anything you want. We'll see you tomorrow.